All right, so let's look at this problem right here. We're going to graph both of these, and this is going to be a piecewise function. Notice this function right here is going to be when x is less than 0. So x can only be numbers less than 0. And when we have an absolute value, that's going to give us a V shape, right? We're going to have some type of V shape. And so what I suggest doing, I'll do this one here in red, f of x, I'll do in red. Let's just do a quick little table here, and we'll plug in some values. We know the general shape is a V, so I'll just plug in a -1 for x. So when I plug in -1, I get absolute value of -1, which is 1, times 3. So my output is 3. And then I know we're not allowed to plug in 0, but this just helps me with the ending. So when I plug in 0 here, I get 3 times 0, which is 0. All right. And when I graph this, notice I can't plot numbers that are greater than 1 because it's not in the domain. Here I strictly have to stay for my x values that are less than 0. So I could plug in -2. I could plug in, let me go ahead and do that. I could plug in -2. So when I plug in -2 here for x, I get the absolute value of -2, which is +2. 3 times 2 is 6, so you get a height of 6. All right, so if I'm going to plot this, I got 0, 0. I got an open circle there because, of course, 0 is not in the domain. It just kind of helps me know where it ends. Right, 0 is not included here, but that's just to help me see where the graph ends. -1, 3. So -1 up 1, 2, 3. And then -2 up 6, 4, 5, 6. So it would look like a V, but of course nothing is happening on this side of the graph for this function, for f of x. And then let me put an arrow here, because that's going to go on forever. Now let's see what's happening to the right of x. So to the right of x, we have g of x. I'll do this in blue here. So I'll make a little table, and this is what I want you to do, make a little table until you get used to all this, and we plug in numbers. So I'll plug in 0, because here you're actually allowed to plug in 0 because it's equal to. So when I plug in 0, I get the square root of 0, which is 0, times 2, so my output is going to be 0. So I actually end up having a point here. So that open circle got filled up, and that happens from time to time. Not all the time, but it happens. I plug in 1 here. The square root of 1 is 1. 1 times 2 is going to give me the height of 2. Let's go ahead and plug in 4, because that's a clean number. The reason I'm picking 4 is because I know the square root of 4. The square root of 4 is 2. 2 times 2 is going to give me 4. So let's plot those. And again, because I have a square root function, I know this graph is going to look something like this. So let's go ahead and plot these. 0, 0, 1 up 2, and then we plugged in 4. So 2, 3, 4, and we got a height of 4. So indeed, our function looks just like that. So this is what our piecewise function. To the right of 0, you have the square root function, right? That's what this was talking about. And to the left, you had a half of a V, right? Because it would have been a V, but notice our function doesn't exist to the right of 0, because here it says x is strictly less than 0. So whenever you're dealing with these piecewise function, it helps to actually make a chart just like I've done. Some of you might not have to. I encourage you to. So hopefully that helps out. This is dealing with question number 3 on section 1.7 homework. All right, folks. Hopefully this is helpful. Bye-bye.